John.
Nearly 30 hours building this dinosaur park in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and today we're going to tour it. This is the Dinosaur Paradise. I've been working on this park in episodes that are on YouTube for over 3 months. They're a bit chaotic in their runtime and such, but today is all going to come to a head and we're going to walk through what we've built. This is a pretty long video, so try to stick with me as long as you can. I would appreciate it if you'd like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more parks like this, as well as other varied dinosaur games, but I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk about why you should subscribe to the channel any longer, so let's get into the tour. Here we are at the entrance of the park. I am going to kind of have to rush through this because I wanted to keep it under an hour, but we will have some cinematics at the end so you can see some overview shots. Here we are on top of a little hill at the entrance. In front of us is this big volcanic valley, because this is a volcanic island created by an uplift from an underwater volcano, where we have our Alamosaurus and Dryosaurus. You have this little lookout for them. There's viewing galleries for them later. Essentially, this is just where the guests come to the underground tunnel from the second island, where the airport and the facilities are. And then you can either go right over here to this side, that leads to most of the park. Or you can go to the other side, which is where most guests will go, because that's the way to the hotels, and that's where we're going to go first. But before that, I'm going to go to the back of this little circle and show you a view. I did want this hill to be higher up originally, but I had a lot of trouble with the terrain and smoothing it out on these paths on the side. You'll see what I mean in a second. But yeah, here you can see the section over there. This park does have really good views, I think, in my opinion. It is, in my opinion, I keep saying that, sorry, my best park that I've built. Here you can see that this terrain is super ugly because it's uneven, and I couldn't get it to smoothly curve how I wanted it to all the way down. There's our When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth banner. I used that glitch to get the fence on the gate. You can check that out, and I guess you can just go watch Evo's glitch guide or something. But we do have this little shop down here, so you can look out over the endless ocean that goes off into the distance with no mountains, and also see that beach that we're going to go to later. So the hotel section is split into 3 areas. This gate anyone can walk through. Then right in here, this is the security checkpoint. You have to get your key card to go through the second gate. But basically, the hotel sections, you have your central hotels, which are the Jurassic World hotels. That's where most guests stay. That's a more open plazas and kind of stuff. I used the luxury path, which I kind of think is the ugliest path, but it did fit here. Then we also have the Malta hotels, which are the beach access, and then you'll see we have the Jurassic Park hotels with a pretty cool section. Later, we also have this Jurassic Park aviary that I've sunk into the ground. We have some Zoopteryx in there. I pronounced that wrong, didn't I? Yeah, but basically, these are our big hotels. You can see the views from here. Maybe we can see the Stegosaurs that we'll get to later. Sorry this tour is so fast. I just didn't want it to take an hour like every other tour has, and also I'm recording this voiceover after I recorded the footage. Yeah, there's the Stegosaurs. If it's kind of hard to keep track of where we are, I'll put a map up in the corner of every now and then of the park. Okay, so yeah, now we're going into where the Malta hotels are. Here you can look through this fence and hopefully see the Stegos down by that little pond. That's the dark jungle section that I'll talk about when we get there. But yeah, here's the beach, which is something kind of fun to do on any park when you do an island. There's no way that I could not do a beach if I'm building the island park and on the tropical map. It kind of doesn't look very good from above, but neither does the whole park in my opinion. It's made for the ground view mostly. Here you can see that little gateway is where the guest would walk through and go to the beach, where you can see the ocean stretching off into the distance. No mountains, no map border anywhere to be seen. As I said before, there's a lot of space limitations for this, so I couldn't do a good entrance or even a way for the staff to properly manage the park. So I tried to go with like a thematic experience of walking through the park, because I didn't really pay much attention to realism due to the constraints. and also the frame rate constraints, because that's the reason this park is so small. It was processing power. Here's the Metrocanthosaurus. Obviously, you could step over those boundaries. You're not really supposed to see him from here. As I said, just the thematic experience. You'll see what I mean later when we go in, because he's in the dark jungle, which we take the night tour through. So yeah, we have our Malta hotels. I don't know why there's guests. I closed it because the park usually crashes when I let the guest in, because it has to run all the guest data. So yeah, back out in the open here. There's not great ways to get the views of this aviary. We do have one viewing dome in there, but most of the time you just kind of look in from here, and it is really hard to see them, but if you were an actual human in this park, you can focus your vision on things in the distance or close up. So the fences wouldn't actually look that obstructive or anything. This is actually probably my least favorite section of the park. I'm not very good with hotel sections, as I said in the building episode for this area. I really don't know what to do with the space, and this is actually the first park I've completed with all buildings since I got my Xbox, the next-gen console, which I think a whole lot of people are still not on next-gen console. Building with all buildings is super different, but it does mean that this is the first park I've completed since last June, because every park I've worked on has crashed since then, because this game needs optimization, and also it's just not built for how people actually build parks now. Yeah, this is pretty just simple aviary. This is a suggestion from Mr. Loophole to have an aviary in the guest section, which I actually really like, doing a small aviary there. I don't particularly like some Zoopteryx, but I do think it fits here. It's a kind of boring creature, in my opinion. That's the entrance section where we were earlier, up by that rock. Here we have the cinema where you can watch dinosaur documentaries, and there's windows in the back of the building that actually look into the Suchomimus habitats, which we'll also be able to view up here through this fence. You can see the zip line. We'll take it from the other side, back down to the hotel section. This is the first place you'd go when you enter the park, because obviously if you just got here, you're going to drop off your luggage. You just have to take the train through the tunnel from the other islands. This Biodome power station over here, we're pretending this isn't the power station, this is the Hyperloop access, which connects all of the viewing outposts that I put. I don't think I have time right here to talk about the story of the park, but I do like to make a reason for why there's Biodome buildings and Jurassic World buildings and Jurassic Park buildings all in one place. Oh, that monorail just looks super cool. But yeah, here's the Jurassic Park section of the hotels. This has a lot more greenery, and the hotels are smaller, as you can see. That doesn't contain much amenities. That's pretty much just a few rooms, which is why we have the Jurassic Park Control Center, which is a building I really like because it's original to the game, but also a good centerpiece building. That's where the breakfast is, and it also has access to the rest of the park. You can see that tour building over there. We're going to go in through the other entrance to that tour. That's the night ride that I was talking about. So we'll come back to that. Guests, as I said, can walk through this building. We'll try to walk around through this little staff section I have over here. And this is one of the few buildings in the game that has paths on either side. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with making guests walk through it. This is where the gift shops would be, of course, logically. This leads out to a plaza that we're going to go to later. Right now I'm going to have us jump back to the entrance so we can see this area over here. If we'd gone to the left, you can get here the other way, but it's properly experienced by just walking through it from the entrance. So yeah, here we go. I'll drop us down right here. Here we have our viewing galleries that are going to give us a little bit of a better view into this habitat with the Dryosaurus and Alamosaurus, which are both creatures I really like. I put the insectivore feeders on the ground in the place of a herbivore feeder, because I think it looks pretty good. As that, it's serviceable and nothing eats from the insectivore feeders, aside from Geoloctors, of course, but yeah. Pretty simple section here. As I walk through this next area, I'll tell you about the story behind this park. So this is a alternate universe of the Jurassic universe, where Dodgson didn't become CEO of Biodome in 2011, somebody else did, and Maserati Global bought out a large portion of the company, and they basically combined into one company that's combined their technologies to build dinosaur parks around the world, not on Nublar, in places like this island chain, Might actually do more parks in this universe in the future, but not the next park I'm doing. That's going to be its own thing. I'm just realizing I forgot to line this path, so a guest could just touch the electric fence, or even if it's not electrified, they could just stick their hands through and get it bitten off by the Suchomimus, which is fun. But we're pretending this park isn't open, which is why there's no guest, but also I have an under construction area later. So that's fine if there's some missing things. It's a nice excuse. Here you can look and see the Moros intrepidus. See might be an exaggeration, though, since they're so tiny you can't even see them through the grass. They just have this little exhibit that's... I need to fill up some space, and I decided to throw a dinosaur in there instead of just leaving some natural area, since we don't actually have a ton of dinosaurs. I think we have like 20 species. So more than the original Jurassic Park, less than Jurassic World, but considering the space, it's a pretty decent amount of species. I'm going to head up to the top of this hill right here through this JP gate, and we'll take the zip line, and you can also maybe get a view at our Diplodocus and Parasaurolophus. This isn't their main exhibit. I decided that, you know, like the elephant barns, where they have their, if they don't want to be in view all the time, they have somewhere else they can go. There's another plaza later, we'll be able to see them better. You can kind of see it on the map and in our cinematic nighttime shots at the end. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's one. Okay, you can see the Diplodocus. This is their area where just this one little viewpoint is the only way you can see them here. And, yeah. We'll as I said, we'll see them better later. We have this little diorama on the left that I really like. Nice for filling up space. There's a cell tower, just so you have Wi-Fi while you're on the islands. We're going to walk through this queue right here. This queue doesn't really make sense because there's no way back out, but actually that does for the zipline now that I think about it. But for most things, I often just put a one-directional queue. Let's ride this zipline over this area, which will take us back to the hotel, but we're just going to jump back over to where we were. Most guests could go here if they were walking back and they didn't want to walk all the way up through the section and around through the hotel, so that actually helps clear up traffic, even though the zipline's going to be super slow. So as we walk through here, on our left, this is the Huayongosaurus exhibit, which you guys were very opinionated on. I did that poll that got like 60 or 70 votes on which of those very similar species you wanted in the park, Huayongosaurus or Challengosaurus. Kind of hard to see with this rock wall because the guests are like 4 feet tall for some reason. So I'll jump over into the habitat. I used, of course, the red and black skin. That looks super good, but I also tried to get the Jurassic World Evolution 1 skin because I really like that pattern, even though it's pretty simple. I do think, at least up until this point, I did a pretty good job at keeping a consistent look for the park, about having like all these palm trees and such, which we do have an abundance of palm trees in the park. And just in the game, there's a lot of different ones you can place. Well, actually no, we're not going to ride the monorail right now. But that's just a faster way to cut across this area. That's going to be pretty open. This would be pretty crowded, so if you didn't want to go here, you'd ride the monorail, which would also give you a good view of our Parasaurolophus and Diplodocus, which is one of our very advertised, I imagine, habitats. The Allosaurus and this habitat are like our star dinosaurs. That's what's on all the logos and stuff. This Biosyn building, I really like it because it's tall and it kind of breaks things up. You can put it just about anywhere, and it also has Hyperloop connections, so that connects the viewing areas. I just had to fill up the space, so here's a little guest section, and once again, you can look into the Suchomimus habitats. I like to imagine the Suchomimus is old, one of the first dinosaurs put in the park while it was being built, which is why there's just one. He's in that kind of small habitat with the DFW fence, which I guess doesn't make much sense in universe for the DFW to be here, but anyway, yeah, there you can see the monorail go over. I think the monorail just moving through the park looks super good. Oops. Oh no. Well, here our guest could technically, I guess, walk into the habitat. I didn't realize that wasn't there. As I said, the park's still under construction. But yeah, this is where the Parasaurolophus Lux go, and the Diplodocus. They have a fair bit of space. Here you can see one of the paras. We'll see them at nighttime later when as I said, I'll do the cinematics at the end. So yeah, this plaza here, you may be wondering what are these facility trucks here. Imagine these are food trucks. That's what they're for. Imagine you can walk into the side of them. That's where you get food, and these redwood trees are supposed to be like the Diplodocus can reach their necks over and eat from them. They actually can't, and they're also not tall enough. I didn't realize until I put them in the habitat how short Diplodocus is. So, yeah, that's this area. I think that food truck idea is actually kind of cool, and you could use it in neat ways. I kind of want to do a food court in Prehistoric Kingdom now, because I think that would look pretty cool. I have a good idea for that, which I might do a build for on the channel. Why are there guests? The park is closed. Anyway, here we have Mr. DNA foreboding you, because this area is, we're getting into the darker area of the park that you're realizing the illusion's falling away. This isn't a nice, happy paradise island I found to put these magnificent creatures on. This was an island of monsters. Maybe, we're saying that Biosyn built this island before they were partnered with Maserati and they got dinosaur embryos or something at some point. And it became overrun, kind of like mini East of Sorna, and now it's been adapted. Here's where the monorail puts off, so if you didn't want to walk past the food courts, you could take the monorail. And this area is the swamp kind of area, a little bit of the jungle. It's runoff from... We're going to go through this night tour. The lore is that when they first started building this park, the Utahraptors basically ate everybody that they sent in to tranquilize them. But at this point, they've kept some of the jungle and turned it into this ride that we're going to go on. Over here, real quick, is the under construction area I mentioned. This is the Monolophosaurus habitat, the last area of the park that's being worked on. I have these piles of sand and dirt, which I think really completes the look. And this is where it's going to be. There's no dock on the island, so there's no realistic way for them to keep the dinosaurs alive at all, any of the staff. But, yeah, realism in this game doesn't really matter. You can be realistic when you want, and you can build what you want when you want. That's the fun of it. Here we're going to drive, and I'm going to crash into things a lot. I'll switch us over to nighttime real quick, because that's how this is meant to be experienced. I think this area of the park actually looks really cool. This is the best environment design I think I've done. Especially considering this is my first all-buildings park, which is really showed me that even if I get this game on PC eventually, I'm not going to play with mods, even though they're so good. There'd be just too many things to do. I'd never complete a park. It'd just always crash, or it would take like years and years. But anyway, here's our Metricanthrosaurus sitting right across the track. And here we're going to cross over to where we have this little abandoned forts, castle-looking base, which I think looks super neat. And we have the Jurassic Park raptor enclosure in here. And hopefully we'll get a glimpse at our Utahraptors. Maybe they can walk in here. Oh, there's one. Okay. Yeah, Utahraptor in this game looks so good. It's one of the best designs in the game. It's incredibly good. This area in particular, there's like 8,000 individually placeable trees in this park, which is a lot. No idea why the park crashed, but it did only crash twice over the course of building, which is pretty good for actually completing a park, even though it still only uses like a sixth of the map or something. Maybe more like a quarter. So yeah, here we have our Jurassic Park gate, kind of in the middle of the tour, but I wanted to have it somewhere in. I couldn't put it by the entrance, as you saw. Actually, I'm gonna wait for it to close so we can have the gate open. Maybe I'll put that at the beginning of the video. Back up. Oh, there's our Metricanthrosaurus. I actually really like the Metricanthrosaurus. That it actually is the Jurassic World website one. Unfortunately, we don't have that skin in the second game, even though it was the default skin in the first game. That there is the closest thing we have. Here's some cars on their way back, which I think is a nice look to have these cars driving by each other. Now we're still going to be in the jungle. You can see where we were earlier in the hotel section, that the illusion's broken. Now it's all dark and nighttime, and earlier it looked totally different. But here we have our Stegosaurus pond. They do live in the jungle. I like to imagine they eat the jungle foliage, but there's less plants here because they've trampled over them to stay away from the Utahraptors. This is just where they live. I guess it wouldn't be a smart idea to live near those rocks if you want to avoid being hunted by Utahs, but... Oh yeah, we're stuck behind these guys. Yeah, these 1997 Stegos, again, are just really beautiful designs and great skins. Amazing model. It's an S tier dinosaur for me. Speaking of which, I do want to do a dinosaur ranking eventually, but I'll wait till the game's done. Now I was about to go off on a rant about the future DLC and stuff, but I'm not going to because this is the tour video. And I crashed against a rock, and I keep crashing. Okay, there's our stego. You can see into the aviary on the right here, which is really nice. One tip that I think a lot of builders would agree with, if you're starting off building especially, don't have your enclosures be made of entirely fences. Don't lay down the fence first, for sure. Don't lay down a fence shape, and then build around it. Here on the right, you can see my overlapping fence glitch that I found. You can watch the tutorial on my channel. It's kind of a bad tutorial. It's one of my oldest. I'd advise you to go watch Evo's glitch guide, because it's in there. So, yeah, we're out through the night ride. I really like this section. And alright, let's hop out of this car, switch it back to daytime, and we'll walk back out through the work. See how good that monorail looks in the background? The monorail tracks often do look ugly, but I think when used correctly, they look super cool. Really modern, nice, makes it feel like a unique park. This Biodome building is actually really nice. A lot of the Biodome buildings are really great for filling up space without feeling like just another amenity. And being basically very versatile, you can use them with whatever you want. Here on the left is more of that under construction area. On our right, this round habitat this is our swamp habitat. That's created from the runoff from the water from the jungle. I don't know if that would actually work or not. I don't think it would. But this was going to be our Dinosaurus habitat. But instead, the Secret Species Pack launched while I was working on this park, and I couldn't resist putting Spinoraptor in here because I really love the design, and it fits the swamp perfectly. Yeah, so we have a pack of Spinoraptor moving through the swamp here. I left this exhibit kind of open. You can see the seawater. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. Runs into the habitat, but we have that log viewing gallery as well as two normal viewing galleries here. And, yeah, it looks super cool from above to have this different shape. Sort of break up the flow of the park. That starts to feel kind of monotonous, especially, as I said, my parks don't look great from above, especially. I think they're geared more towards the ground view. A little bit in between. There you can see the ocean stretching off into the distance. There's also a ton of rocks in this park. In the distance on the hill there, you can see our biodome that we'll get to in a little bit. That's going to be a super cool habitat, and I think a neat idea. Not that I've thought of biodomes at this time, the lore that I thought of for it. There you can see what I mean with the water running in, and I used the weak wire fence for the water to go under because it looks super ugly, especially the concrete fence, when it moves with the terrain, in my opinion. Some people, it doesn't bother. I've said this in the building episodes before. On our left here, we have our Dimetrodon habitat. They're kind of hard to see since they're so short, but as I said in the episode of building this, I think they're pretty good because they're such slow creatures that they can have a smaller habitats. And yeah, they're just a great species for filling up space like that. I hope we get a couple more Paleozoic species. Here we have our two viewing platforms that look into the Chondrosaurus habitat. Is that how you say it? Chondrosaurus? Anyways, you may be wondering, what is this? All these decorations. You'll see from above, ironically, contradicting what I said before. On our right, that leads into the last areas of the park, but first we're going to head to the left and go up on this hill where we can see our biodome. So the idea behind this biodome is that they wanted to create, specifically I'm talking about Biosyn, wanted to create 100% accurate dinosaurs to their real DNA. So they built a biodome with the condition that those creatures could live in, and their DNA is not changed very much from how it would have actually been. And this way we can have a unique biome, and I went with a more Biosyn Valley biome. I did try to keep it kind of open since we have pterosaurs flying around. Unfortunately, I don't think I sold the look entirely because of the tropical grass. I didn't clear it as much as I should have because just the dirt looks kind of ugly when it's not crowded with trees. There you can see what I mean, but I think this is a nice switch. This biodome feels super expansive just to have 6 aviary sections, and it sits really nicely on the hill. Flying around, we have Barberdactylus, my second favorite pterosaur in the game after the 2001 Pteranodon, with the new skins, that is. We also have Torosaurs in here, the second best ceratopsian in the game, and Dracorex, which I actually really underuse. I barely ever use it. It's kind of an ant species for me, but it does have really good skins looking at it now, especially these green ones that I used. We do also have access to another viewing dome that's in here. I don't like repeating attractions within one park, which is an advantage of building a small park, because, you know, when you go to a zoo or an amusement park, they don't have the same roller coaster twice. They don't have the same way to look into different habitats twice. It's not ever the same building twice. So I try to keep that variation. So if I do use, say, 2 viewing galleries, I'm going to use 2 different eras, like you saw the Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World ones, because they look like totally different buildings. Which is nice about having more attractions, but we still need the river cruise. So here you can walk down this side. I'm going to hop around to this side. This fence on the right is the Chondrosaurus habitat where we were earlier. We're almost done with the tour for those of you who are still here. In front of us, this is the helicopter access because we have a little helicopter tour that flies over the Chondrosaurus habitat, so you can see the path design that's inside their exhibit, that being the dragon curve fractal because the Chondrosaurs kind of look like dragons and because that's what I wanted to do in a smart park. Not any particular reason. I didn't think that just the helipad building would look good, so I used the viewing galleries here, making them face each other to give that kind of unique architectural look. Helipad sign. Now we're going to walk into what is the last section of our park, back into the paradise where we have our one lagoon. I don't like putting a ton of lagoons in one park because I feel like the lagoon should be a special thing and also connect to the river or the ocean. As I explained in the last episode's building. I do actually really like how this section turned out. It's super open without feeling empty. It does still need some work, but the lagoon especially I really like. And I like that from here you can see the biodome up on the hill, and you can see the different trees, like the redwoods and those alpine pine trees kind of thing. I think this view would also look super cool if there was actually just ocean in the distance. I guess there's nothing to keep people from just like swimming around into the lagoon from there. Well, I guess there would be like a rope in the ocean like when you go to lakes and stuff. Anyways, as I said, I wanted the lagoon to feel integrated, so that's why I have that kind of blocked off by foliage and such, as it feels like it's part of the ocean with just a retaining wall. And here we have our Dunkleosteus, and I used the lagoon glitch to create a little bit of a cave ceiling that you saw right there. Something I always advise for lagoons to make fish swim around by putting just fish feeders on the extra spots on the edges, which really makes it feel like a habitat and not a tank where you have some prehistoric reptiles swimming around, or in this case fish. So yeah, above us we have that cave, which looks super good from above. As I said, it integrates the lagoon into the biome, and it feels supernatural to me. Some people would prefer not to do lagoons that way, but yeah, we have 3 viewing domes here. 2 are underneath the... I feel like Dunkleosteus is actually like the one species that would totally just break through this glass and eat everybody. There you can see what I mean with the rocks actually get super close to the lagoon viewing gallery. I wonder if I could actually clip them through. I don't know. Here we have this one habitat here. That was just to fill up the space because I didn't really know what to do with it. And I was deciding, oh, I have a spot for one more species. What am I going to do? I decided to put the Chunky Monkeysaurus, the Chunkingosaurus, that lost the pull to Biongosaurus to go earlier in the park. But now we have both of them. Which is... I kind of actually do like both the species. I know that a lot of people don't particularly like them, either because they're boring or not particularly paleo-accurate. But I kind of like them. They have a nice aesthetic to them, and I used them a lot in the first game, especially Biongosaurus. So here, this area is a little more deserty. I use the San Diego Amphitheater, lots of sands. Pretend this isn't a hotel because it doesn't make sense. Over here on the left, I didn't execute this super well because you can't see it from multiple angles, but this is the dueling Spinosaurus skeletons, which is a cool trick to have them facing each other like that. And it looks super cool to put in the center of a guest plaza or something, and it uses a good bit of space. I couldn't decide what to do with the amphitheater at first, if I wanted it to be a guest section or part of a habitat, so I just split it right in half, and you can look through this fence at the Allosaurus or walk up into the stands and see them. They live on this little peninsula. Lots of sands. Here's our, yeah, those are our star dinosaurs. The transportation in this park's kind of bad. You'd have to walk all the way back to get here, but what these little cages are, they're like kennels for them. You know how dogs like to sleep in those? I think it'd be kind of funny to have the large theropods do that. So, yeah, here you can see the park from above a little bit. We have our 3 large exhibits right next to each other here. That being the Paras, Changosaurus, and Allosaurus. As I said, the transportation is not very good. You have to walk really far back to get to the hotel. But it's a small park anyway. You'd probably want to stay here for 1 or 2 days. Here I'm going to jump through our research outpost and talk a little bit about the park. Thank you for everyone who has watched the series and kept up with it. There will be more Jurassic World Evolution 2, but not immediate. I'm not doing another park building series. Probably not until the fall. Maybe summer. I don't know. Yeah, and thank you if you're still here watching this video after this long. I'm glad I was able to get through this tour pretty quickly, even if the video felt a bit rushed to me. And for the last few minutes, enjoy the cinematics. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, and if you want to see more dinosaur games and various Jurassic Park content, please subscribe.